Feng Min came. Anyway, in during the midterm review of the IDNDR, we were few NGOs present in Yokohama. Uh, n- uh, that we were really marginalized. We felt that the UN didn't want or did not want us to get involved. But our noise was not enough, and so we decided in one of the corners to organize the global forum of NGOs for disaster reduction, and it was just like a loose organization. Whoever who wants to become a member, but who wants to become a member when there's no policy yet. It was just an initiation. And so at that point, I was assigned to become the president of GFNDR, and then NK Jain of Joint Assistance Center in India volunteered to become the secretariat, and then all the others become members, and JAC was the one following them up. We managed to organize several forums, one in India, one in Nepal, one in the Philippines, and one in the US. And it's like we had no support. We had no support from the international NGOs, and we have no support with the UN. And we were all busy with all our own organizations. So, but IDNDR tried to baby us in meetings, in meetings like with the poster, but nothing more than that. And so when the IDNDR closed, it sort of died down also. And so when Feng Min discussed with me that why don't we start an NGO at the global level, I said, of course, why not? And she knew, and I told her about the GFD and NDR. Yeah. And so she said, okay, we have materials, we have lessons to start from. And so it was a meeting in Bangkok. It's a UN meeting, but we were, both of us were having our own agenda. So we were discussing. She said, okay, I'll come up with a concept. She came up with the concept very fast, and we discussed about it. And so we had the first consultation in I think it is in July in 2006 in Geneva, in the office of the ISDR, or in one of those offices. And we there I presented the lessons of the GFNDR. I still have a copy, and so challenging the NGOs present there to organize one, because it's like during my time we had no support, we had no there's no critical mass of people of NGOs. So but at that time they did not say categorically that they would. There was another meeting, and maybe you were do you remember two meetings or only one meeting?
Two meetings. There was another one, I think, in October or so.
Either September or October.
Yeah. But also in Kobe, apparently, you also made a statement at the closing, no? About the importance of paying more attention to community work.
And that was in...
Because that's in 2005.
In 2005.
So Kobe somehow triggered also this interest in having
yes, it's true.
NGOs.
I remember that. It was in during the initiation of the ISDR, right, in 2005. I was asked by the NGOs to represent the NGO statement, and I read the statement. At that time, I was hesitant because I knew I would be joining the UN, because I joined the UN in January 2005, and immediately after the Kobe. And so, and that was January. In July, that's the consultation, and then another one in October. And that in October, the NGOs were ready. That
there
they said
a lot
yes,
more people, and
there are a lot more people, and they were ready that they will do that. And then we launched the NGO in 2007.
GND, the global network with Marcus in the lead, and at the global platform in Geneva.
In 2007. Yeah. That's why, in the 2005, the start where we statement, 2007 6. That's the organizing consultation sort of twice, and then in 2007 the GNDR is ready to launch. So there's a statement, and then 2007, then 2009. So every 2 years,
yeah,
the GNDR was reading its statement,
Yeah.
and that was and for me,
And the views from the front line and all of that. Yeah.
but that's the one I was looking for the platform in which the NGO could have a statement for the governments, because it's a government platform. The UN is more government platform, but the NGO to speak in that platform wherein we could challenge the reports of the governments that, hey, we did a lot of these things, we did this and we did it, you are excellent. And then there's a voice from the NGO saying, hey, yes, there's cloud but there's no rain, something like that. And that was our idea long before, when we established the GFNDR. But because we had no clout, who are we? Small NGO in the Philippines, small NGO in India. But now with the INGOs taking the lead, it has more future. And since then, it's a history. GNDR is now made its mark.
And sometimes it had tense relationships with ISDR as well.
It is, because you can imagine the NGOs come up with a strong statement. Even within the NGOs, they don't immediately gel, in the sense that others would like it to be stronger, and the other one would like it to be tame. And the middle ground, you have to do balancing.
Yeah.
So on that side, there's an NGO dynamics, and then of course you consider also the voice of the Southern NGO to be encapsulated in a statement, right? Meanwhile, you will present that first to the ISDR, to the UN, before it is read in the assembly. And there's also reaction. Of course it would react, because those who presented this to the UN to be part of also had to massage the people who would allow. And so there's so much negotiation between and within. And I'm in the middle of that. Knowing NGO, being with the UN, and being part of this that initiated this one. And so I'm not pro or against or whatever. It's just a reality that we have to please everybody at that point. Otherwise, we lose the platform, and we don't want to lose that. On the other hand, we don't want also to lose the meaning of the statement, because we want it to be strong, to have an impact, but not stronger enough to be rejected. You know what I mean? Something like that. So, and that was tense. That you have to walk to and fro and all that. But
I think now NGOs tend to be a bit less confrontational and a bit more constructive, like saying, well, we need to work with local governments and together we can maybe contribute more effectively, but no longer like constantly criticizing the system, because they say it's a bit of a dead-end street. I mean, if you're only negative about everything, you don't offer solutions. So.
The landscape has changed. That was my. I have a short article about the landscape has changed. It's the NGOs recognizing that you're an NGO, you're part of the governance structure, and you can only advocate, and you can do public awareness on the ground, but advocate. On the other hand, government realized that we cannot do the work alone. So while at the same time the NGOs are more into understanding or cooperating, the government also become more accommodating, and the UN facilitated that kind of process, which is now it is embedded in the Sendai document, the all-inclusive, etc. And so I think we're moving forward in that regard. I cannot say that I'm fully satisfied, but I'm happy with the way things are, in the sense that you cannot really have this is your goal and you want the goal to be immediately there. You have to work towards that
Towards it,
goal, and as long as it consistently, progressively going up, then we have to be happy with the way things are. And so now I was in the Sendai. I was not in Cancun anymore. I think let
But
the younger
next
generation.
next
But
time in Geneva, maybe in
But I want
2019.
to be again in you know, to follow through, because I spent like 40 years in this kind of work, and you know that there are many people like you who wants to influence, and it's a good thing to reinforce each other's ideas, and also it's fulfilling to see that you're not alone,
You're not alone.
and
Yeah.
there are many people who among your age and the younger, and things like that. So, and you are very good in facilitating this kind of process. We met in early 90s in this project, UNESCO project,
Training material for
training
disaster
materials for
reduction.
disaster reduction, and then there's useful materials, and then from then on we've been seeing each other in several
Stages.
activities, and then we partnered together in prevention. Remember, we had this training and learning circle, which I think is a model in the Philippines and in India. We produced plenty of good materials that's still being useful, and yeah, and I was able. You were asking, was I able to influence the UN? I don't think. It's difficult to say, but I think they don't know what to do with me when I was there. My contract ended. I have no specific budget, but they think that what I have started is something meaningful. So they retained me, and I get out of the UN because of my retirement. I already reached 62, and so influencing my biggest thing that I could say is that the project Citizen-Based Development Oriented Academy, that we I think they gave me budget for 2 pilots, and there's no pilot is useless if it's not pursued. And I'm able to, before I left, I was able to hold 6 or 7 South Development Academy, in which you gather the community people, because I was attending a meeting in New York. I organized a forum, and the speakers was like Margareta Wallstrom, Briseño, and all these leaders. And I was just thinking, oh, what am I doing? I'm promoting community-based, and here are the leaders all speaking about communities. Come up with a concept, and submitted it, and it was approved. That's why I had the local version of all this forum, all this we international doing, participating, but the communities are never invited.
No.
And the community people, the old community leader never validated his solution to any community. So the idea of this academy is for them to gather together, validate their solutions, share, and at least before they die, they know that they've done something that contributed to the whole province, or so.
Just for your information, in Cancun, 26% of the participants came from civil society. So compared to former meeting, it's a huge success. So even if you doubt about your influence, indirectly it has made a huge difference in terms of their commitment. Also, I think the interesting thing is that NGOs also see these platforms, these gatherings, as a valid place to promote their stuff. So because you could also think, oh, they just want a kind of social forum, they just want to meet amongst themselves. But now they really like the engagement with governments, with private sector, with academics. So I think it's a huge progress.
I think it's a huge progress. And to think that they you know, when governments, local government, for example, Philippines or India, when they see their counterpart NGOs in Geneva and other, so there's some sort of respect and recognition that they will continue the work together back home. And that's the experience.
And
so
also
far.
NGOs were part of some government delegations and
Yeah,
so on.
and-
So that's also
yeah.
even young people and so on in the
Yeah,
Philippines. So
yeah.
I think there's definitely a lot of progress
Yeah,
made,
a lot
and
of progress.
and you have planted a lot of seeds and
Well,
to make it happen, no?
Well, a little, and yeah, whatever contribution. For me, what is important is the result. I'm not, into saying, I did this, or I influenced that, or I fought this way out. It's not. But the result is worth celebrating. I think it's and for me, meeting people, these gurus like Ben Wisner, Alan Labelle, and Ian Davis, and
Gustavo,
you, Gustavo, in forums, and that you discuss at the level, not only referring to your thesis according to Dr. Wisner, but you're one of them, and you share with each other ideas and the possibility of working together, so that's already, for me, is worth remembering. And there are young people, young researchers who are coming up, like JC, and who is very active in this, and NGO leaders. So
I think also, the young generation does not know this history. They have a very shorter time span, and they tend to reinvent things which have already a long time be discussed, like, there's a link between disasters and development and so on, and they kind of think that they discovered this. But so I think it is important for them to know also that a lot of people have already thought about it 3 decades ago. And
yeah, that's interesting, because sometimes even in I remember when I was teaching, in giving training on disaster management, ADPC, we have covered a lot internationally, regionally, even national. And then, at that time we were using transparency. When you go to a country, you see your transparency. Even the CGD at that time, Zenaida Delica, even you could see that in the transparency in other countries. You copied. So, but the training made a lot of impact also. It reached to various countries, and that was really good. And so.
And how do you see the future for DRR? They always say it should be something that should be mainstreamed, and it will over time kind of disappear and make itself redundant. But you don't see that happening, no?
No, actually it's becoming part of the system. It's like, going back to that, some people think that they invented it. Sometimes I attend meetings of these young people, and it's true. I think when they speak, like, you could see yourself 30 years ago, and probably I was thinking, maybe I thought just like what I told you, I thought we invented the term internal refugees, and because we're pushing this in these courses, to find out in Oxford that it has been discovered long time ago. So that is being repeated, that people now explaining why it should be community managed, and especially if they don't know me, and they continue to so it's just, I think they need to discover that what they're doing is a continuation, and they have to come up with new solutions or improved solutions and continue the advocacy. Now going to it's now going part of the system. Like, for example, in the Philippines, there's a law, a revision of the old law, and it's now disaster risk reduction and management. It's not just the DRR, it's now the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management, and then setting up the institutional arrangement up to the barangay level. So you could see all over the country, there's provincial disaster management office or disaster reduction management office. So it's now in the system, and also in other countries. So,
But the Philippines is ahead. I mean, there's not that many
well,
similar systems in other countries yet.
yeah,
No?
the engagement with the NGOs in the disaster reduction has also paved that way.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think, but the role of the NGO should still remain.
Mhm.
It should not be co-opted in a
No.
sense that, let's rest our on our
Laurels.
laurels that we have reached this way and we are successful.
Mhm.
The thing, I think the NGOs, the staff of the NGOs now should continue and pursue, and do not forget the history, because otherwise you will be continuing to advocate the things that have been accepted long,
Time ago.
along the way. And they have the tendency, if there's no collective memory, if there's no, sense of history
Mhm.
in the organization. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks so much. No, it's great.